Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322, and you can forget about any GTA DLCs that are around the corner. This is the real exciting announcement. The 5th and final season of the Multi-Class Endurance Championship is gonna start in February 2020. So everything goes through a Discord server this year, so whether you're a viewer of the Multi-Class Endurance Championship who just wants to stay up to date on all the info as the season progresses, or you're someone who wants to apply to race in the championship, click the link in the first line of the description, join the Discord server and read everything that's in there. That will explain everything, link you to everything, and you'll know what to do from that point on. But for those who don't know what the MCEC is, the Multi-Class Endurance Championship is a championship that's been going on since 2014, and the whole format of the races is the races are 1 hour and 30 minutes long, so it's more of an endurance race. And the multi-class aspect is 3 different classes of car are racing in the same race. So there's 27 drivers in each race, racing around for an hour and a half, and they're split up into GTs. So you've got GT1, GT2 and GT3, 9 drivers in each class. So the GT1s are only racing against the other people in GT1, the GT3s are only racing against other people in GT3s, and so on. And the GT1s are in quick cars, the GT2s are in very, middle level cars, and the GT3s are in the slowest cars. They don't have to be the absolute slowest cars in any given class, but they're the slowest cars of the 3. And it's not only about racing against the other 8 people in your class, it's also about managing the traffic well. So on a circuit, as you're going around, if you're in GT2, for example, you're going to have the faster GT1s coming around to lap you at various stages, as well as you're going to have to lap the slower GT3s. The GT3s are going to have to keep an eye on getting lapped by the GT1s and GT2s, and the GT1s have to navigate through another 18 drivers in slower cars safely and quickly without, losing too much time. So it's very much like the World Endurance Championship, like Le Mans. That's kind of where the idea came from, to do these multi-class races in GTA back in 2014. We've done 4 seasons of it already. If you haven't seen those seasons, definitely go watch them. I would say start with season 2 because it's probably some of the best videos on my channel. Then go back and watch season 1 to see how it all started. Then you can do season 3 and season 4 in preparation, but there will be a marathon of videos before this season starts, which I'll explain about towards the end. So that's the format of the races. Like I said, we've already done 4 seasons of this, and it's coming back for its 5th and final season next year. So since this is the final season, it's kind of more of a celebration of what's gone on before in the previous seasons, and that goes into the thought process with the car and track selections as well. Now, there are some new tracks, and there are some tracks that we've had in previous seasons, but not very often. And there's also some new cars as well. For example, the Krieger and the Emirates are both GT1 cars in different rounds. There's other new cars for GT2 and GT3, as well as some old cars and old tracks as well that just haven't featured before. At least in terms of cars, we've got the old classic tracks there as well. But I also wanted to recreate some of the rounds that we'd had in previous seasons. For example, the second round of the 5th season, coming up in February, is going to be SUVs on Olympic GP. Now, that was a round that we did in season 2, and it worked really well. We had the Huntley S in GT1, the FQ2 in GT2, and the Patriot in GT3. And there was a really nice gap between the cars. The lap times all worked out. I think the GT1s overtook the GT2s twice. The GT2s overtook the GT3s twice. And then obviously the GT1s overtook the GT3s 4 times. So it was a nice gap, and it provided some really interesting races. And I wanted to recreate that for this season as well. And the same is true for a few other rounds also. So there's basically 3 rounds for season 5 that are exactly the same in terms of car and track combinations from seasons 2, 3 and 4, and also season 1, but that was slightly different, but it does cross over with one of the rounds. I think it's season 2 and season 1. They basically merge into the same thing. So we've got a little bit of that as well, going back to the previous seasons, having that experience once again to celebrate some of the better car and track combinations that we had previously, as well as new stuff and just a nice mix of everything. We've also got one sort of track from a creator on every platform this season as well, plus the standard tracks for a total of 8 rounds. So I'm hoping it's going to be interesting. I'm hoping it's going to be a fun season, and just nice to, have a nice send-off for the Multi-Class Endurance Championship, with it being the final season, at least as I sit here right now talking, and at least for GTA 5. Now, that also extends to the whole team aspect as well. So it's always been the case in the Multi-Class Endurance Championship that because we have basically 3 separate classes, 3 separate races in one with the 3 different GTs, we've also had teams as well, and each team will have 1 driver from each GT, so 3 people per team, 9 teams across the 27 drivers. So what's usually happened in the past is that we would randomize all the names of the drivers, then that assigns them to their teams with 1 person from GT1, GT2 and GT3, and then those drivers go away, decide what team sponsor they want to be, what team they want to be racing for example, and they all have to be GTA 5 companies, for example, Ron Racing, Los Santos Customs, things like that. And then, we ultimately have a team's championship as well. So whichever team does the best in terms of their drivers and the points that they get overall will win the team's championship. But in quite a scary twist of fate, this year I've been able to do something a little bit special with it, because over the course of the last 4 seasons on PC, PS4, Xbox One and Xbox 360 and PS3 that we originally did Season 1 on, there have actually been 9 separate team sponsors who have won teams championships across the seasons. We've basically had 8 teams that have won 8 of the championships, and then 1 team that has won the championship on 3 separate occasions. So we've got basically the perfect, the perfect template for having those 9 teams, those 9 champions return for this season. So every single driver is going to be racing for one of those teams this season, and those teams are going to be the same across the 3 platforms as well. Obviously the Multi-Class Endurance Championship, it happens on PS4, PC and Xbox One, so we're going to have the same 9 teams across all the platforms, and that means we'll be able to also have an overall team's champion of champions, where it will take into account the points not only of the drivers on each specific platform. So we're going to have a team's champion for PC, we're going to have a team's championship for PS4, but we'll be able to combine all those points across all the platforms and have an overall team's champion as well. So it's kind of nice that it just happened to work out that we need 9 teams, and we've already had across the previous seasons 9 teams champions, team sponsors who've won the championship before. So it worked out perfectly for that, and again, it's just another aspect of celebrating what's gone on in the past and bringing something new and something a bit special and a bit extra to this final season. Now, taking all that into account, and with it being the final season as well, drivers who've raced a full season in the Multi-Class Endurance Championship without dropping out previously will have priority on places in the final season. So there's only 27 drivers on every platform, so there's going to be 81 participants to the main championship overall, taking into account the 3 platforms. And it's going to be drivers who've previously raced in the MCEC who will be given a sort of a default entry into that. And then if there's any spaces left, it will be filled up by other people as well. But there's also secondary championships that go on most seasons, and it will be on every platform this season depending on interest. For example, if we've got 30 drivers applying for a position for the Xbox One races, then we're not going to run a secondary championship just for 3 drivers. But if there's enough people on each platform who want it, we'll basically do a secondary championship wherever it's needed. And now the idea of the secondary championship is to give as many people as possible a taste of the MCEC experience. It's not as many rounds. The main championship is 8 rounds. The secondary championship is only going to be 4. The car selections are going to be different as well. There's also only 2 GTs, so it's actually denoted GT4 and GT5 instead of 3 classes in one race. GT4 is the more competitive side, and GT5 is more seen as a gentleman driver championship, less competitive, not taking it as seriously from that competitive standpoint. And the secondary championship allows people to be able to jump in and out of races as well. You don't have to commit to doing a full season, even though it's only 4 races. You don't have to commit to all of those 4 races. You can just do it on a race-by-race basis as well. So this is all part of the application process, which is explained on the Discord server. That it's the same Google form for everything. You just apply to whatever you want to apply to. And if you don't make it into the main championship, you can also say, okay, I want to be in the secondary championship as well. Or you can just apply to the secondary championship on its own. It's entirely up to you. But yeah, I'm going to try and give as many people as possible the multi-class endurance championship experience. And if you've not seen anything previously about the MCEC, go back and watch those previous videos. But with that in mind, before the season even starts, there's going to be a marathon stream of all of those videos. So similar to what I did for the GFred marathon stream, it was 48 hours in a row of just GFred playthroughs on Twitch, and it was going through all the old videos up to the new ones, and then we did the 100th GFred as soon as the videos were finished. We're going to be doing exactly the same thing for the MCEC. With this being the final season, I'm going to start a live stream calculated to finish after we've watched every single episode of the 4 seasons of the Multi-Class Endurance Championship, as well as the 2 initial races, the kind of test races that we did before the MCEC even became a thing. I'm going to calculate that to finish basically at the exact moment that I would be due to starting the first 2 races on the 1st of February. So that should be interesting. I'm not going to be at the stream all the time like I was for that. It was the same thing with the GFred stream. I'm not going to be there all the time, but the stream is going to continually play for as long as it needs to go through the footage of all the videos that we've got for the Multi-Class Endurance Championship, for all the way from Season 1, in fact before Season 1 to Season 4. And then as soon as we watch the final episode from the Season 4 series, we'll be going straight in to the live stream, and it will be actually live, of the first 2 races of the final Season 5. So that should be fun as well. But I guess for now, applications are open. Applications to race are open. If you want to keep up to date on the MCEC, in between now and when I actually come to do the stream of it at the start of February, you can join the Discord as well. You can select the viewer role, and you'll be opted in for notifications for things and updates, and also you'll be able to read a lot more information about the championship, how it all works. And the applications to race will close on the 1st of January. So 1st of January is when the form will stop accepting applications, and then it will be a month of organisation, getting the drivers, putting them in the right GTs, sorting everybody out, sorting out the teams as well, doing the random draw for the teams, setting up the secondary championship and who's going to race in that. All ready for the 1st of February, which is when we'll see the first 2 races back-to-back on Xbox One and PC on Blaine County 24 Hours. So, yeah, there we go. I can't wait to get going with this one more time. I won't be thinking that at the very end of the season, I can guarantee that. But with it being a bit more of a celebratory atmosphere of everything's laid out beforehand, and aiming to bring back as many old drivers as possible and just enjoy the season, hopefully we can have a bit of fun with it. So there you go. Like I said, link in the first line of the description for the Discord server, which has all the information, and the link to go to the form to sign up as well. Just read through that. If you want to be a driver, feel free to fill out the form and apply. Otherwise, just wait until February and it will all kick off, lasting for 2 months, all the way through February and March. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're excited for this. And like I said, if you haven't seen anything about the MCEC before, I'll leave a link to the previous seasons down below in the description as well. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time.